Hello and welcome back to On Point Wargaming. In this video I'm going to show you how I put together my jungle scenery for bolt action that's simple, pretty cheap but effective. Now my On Point gaming buddy has about 4 bazillion points of Japanese, and I have a fairly large US Marine Corps force for bolt action, so it was natural that we would need some scenery of the jungle variety. The first thing we needed were trees. After all, it's a jungle, it would look a little bit strange without some trees. I wanted trees straight out of the box, or bag in this case, and I picked up 48 individual jungle palm tree looking trees for next to nothing at all. I wanted to base the trees in 2 different ways. On single bases to represent solitary trees, and these would count as soft cover in game, but also larger masses of trees and foliage that would either be hard cover or impassable. So I based my trees like this. The single trees are based on 50mm MDF bases, and for the larger bases I simply used old CDs. In an earlier video I outlined how I based my US Marines using jungle basing, and the same method was applied here. I'll pop a link to the video in the description below. Firstly, I applied a layer of grit and sand to the bases, painted this brown and applied mixed herbs to represent the jungle floor and scrub. For little details I added clump foliage and tufts. For the larger bases I also applied bits of cork to act as rocky outcrops. Now the trees can look a little bland as I haven't got round to painting them yet. I might have built an entire table's worth of scenery in about 3 nights, and painting each tree at this stage would have slowed me down somewhat. Next up, I wanted to have areas of wild and exotic jungle plants to give the table a bit of colour. So I went hunting for plastic aquarium plants and picked up quite a few for only a couple of pounds each. As with the trees, these were based on MDF bases, and the same basing technique was applied to each plant. Now these aquarium plants come in all shapes and sizes, so it can be based individually or as groups, just like the trees. With the trees and plants sorted, I now wanted some little bits of scatter terrain to act as blocking scenery to reduce sights in firefights, etc. So the first bits I completed were simple rocks. These are just decorative rocks used in gardening, rockeries, crafting, etc., but they make excellent scenery. As with the other bits and pieces, these were based on MDF bases and based using the same method. The plants I've used on these rocks are from a plastic topiary ball hanging garden decoration. It costs less than £1 and will provide lots and lots of these small individual plants. For the other rocky outcrops, I turned to my old favourite, cork. These were made by building up layers of cork on an old CD, adding grit and then painting them grey. Cork is such a versatile material, and I'm planning to use a lot more to build scenery for Cruel Seas. Keep an eye out for that in a future video. Lastly, I wanted something a bit unique that would stand out on the tabletop, so I bought this small garden statue. Again, this was attached to an old CD with a few spare trees and based in exactly the same manner. I didn't want the statue to be sparkly clean, so I applied some really quite bright green flock to represent moss, algae, that kind of thing. And this was applied very simply using PVA glue. When everything was finished, it looked like this. Now there are a few commercially bought bits and pieces in the collection, but I always enjoy a good game of jungle bolt action. If you've built your own jungle scenery using other methods and techniques, I'd love to hear your hints, your tips, your ideas. To see some thoroughly spectacular jungle scenery, I would highly recommend checking out Mel the Terrain Tutor's series of videos on his Big Burma build, link below in the description. It's mind-blowing how awesome Mel's jungle scenery is. Absolutely fantastic work. Well, I hope you found that video interesting, provided some hints and tips for your own jungle scenery. But thanks for watching, and as always, may your dice roll well, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye bye for now.